Picture this: a backyard barbecue where one stranger's smile flips my world upside down. I'm Lisa, caught between cozy dinners with my husband and secret walks that make my heart race. A phone falls in a lake, a confession tears us apart, and just when we're piecing it back together, bam, a letter changes everything. Will we fight for love or lose it all? Stick around to find out. I was flipping burgers on the grill in our backyard in Oak Hill, the little town where the air smells like fallen leaves and bonfires this time of year. It was a Saturday night, the kind where you can hear crickets chirping and laughter bouncing off the trees. I'm Lisa, 34, and I've always been the one who keeps things humming, cooking, chatting, making sure everyone's got a cold drink in hand. The autumn breeze tugged at my hair as I plated up some food, my apron smeared with ketchup. My husband, David, 36, was poking at the coals nearby, his brow furrowed like he was solving a puzzle. He's an IT engineer, and half the time I swear his brain's still at the office, lost in some line of code. The yard was alive with friends, folks from the neighborhood, a couple of David's coworkers, people I've known since we moved here 5 years ago. The string lights I'd hung up glowed soft against the dusk, and the vibe was easy, familiar. That's when Jack showed up. He's 35, David's old college buddy, and he'd just rolled back into town after years out west. He walked in with this energy, like he'd brought the California sun with him. Tall, messy hair and a grin that made you feel like you were in on some secret. "Lisa, you still the queen of the grill?" he teased, grabbing a beer from the cooler. I laughed, brushing it off. Someone's got to keep this crew fed. We got to talking, and it was like no time had passed since he'd last been around. He started telling stories. Wild ones about hiking Yosemite, getting stuck in a desert with no gas. Stuff that made my quiet life feel small but exciting to hear about. David wandered over for a sec, clapping Jack on the back. "Good to see you, man," he said, then drifted back to the grill, leaving us to catch up. Jack leaned against the picnic table, his eyes catching the light. "Remember that time David and I tried camping and ended up sleeping in the car?" I cracked up, picturing them, two clueless 20-year-olds arguing over a tent. "Oh, I've heard that one. David said you forgot the stakes." Jack threw his head back, laughing. "Guilty, but we survived. Barely." It was light, fun, the kind of chatter that fills up a night. But then he asked me something that hit different. "What about you, Lisa? Ever just take off, no plan, see where the road goes?" I paused, burger spatula in hand. "Once," I said, grinning at the memory. "I was 20, drove to the coast with $50 and a camera, slept on the beach, felt free." His eyes lit up. That's the Lisa I'd want to see more of. I don't know why, but that stuck with me. The way he said it, like he saw something in me I'd forgotten about. The rest of the night we kept talking, about old times, about how he'd missed Oak Hill's quirks, like the diner that still serves pie from the 50s. David was off with the guys, laughing about some work story, and I didn't mind. Jack's voice was like a song I hadn't heard in years, pulling me in. At one point, he grabbed a marshmallow stick and toasted one for me, handing it over with a wink. "You glow when you laugh, Lisa. Don't lose that." I froze for a split second, heat creeping up my neck. "Thanks," I mumbled, taking the marshmallow. It was silly, sweet, but it felt big, like a spotlight had flicked on inside me. The party rolled on, folks trickling out as the stars popped up overhead. Jack hugged me goodbye, his arm lingering just a beat too long. "See you around, Lisa," he said, and I nodded, watching him head down the driveway. Back inside, I cleaned up, stacking plates in the sink while David crashed on the couch, scrolling his phone. "Good night, huh?" he called out, voice warm but distracted. "Yeah, real good," I answered, forcing a smile. But as I scrubbed a pan, my mind kept replaying Jack's words. Why'd they hit me so hard? I love my life. David, this house, the routine we've built. It's steady, safe. I've got my photography hobby, snapping sunsets when I can, and I'm good at pulling people together like tonight. But standing there, suds up to my elbows, I couldn't shake this tiny itch, like maybe I'd been coasting too long. I glanced at David, his face lit blue by the screen. He's a good guy. Quiet, steady, always there when it counts. We've been married 8 years, and I'd never doubt he cares. But when was the last time we talked about something real? Not bills or what's for dinner, but us. Our dreams. What keeps us going? I dried my hands, staring out the kitchen window at the dark yard. Jack's question echoed. Ever just take off? See where the road goes? I used to. What happened to that girl? I climbed into bed later, David already snoring softly. I lay there, eyes on the ceiling, feeling this weird mix of happy and restless. That night was just a barbecue. Nothing wild, nothing wrong. But it flipped a switch. I started wondering, am I still me? Or am I just the wife, the cook, the one who keeps it all running? Jack saw something. Maybe he's wrong, maybe he's nuts. But it made me look at myself. And that's scary. Because what if I don't like what I see? I rolled over, pulling the blanket tight. It's just a night, I told myself. Just a conversation. But deep down, I knew it wasn't. Something had shifted, tiny but real, like a crack in the sidewalk you don't notice till you trip. And as I drifted off, I couldn't help but wonder, what's next? See, here's the thing. This isn't about right or wrong yet. It's about feeling alive, about asking yourself what you want when the days start blending together. I'm not saying I've got answers, but that night, it made me ask the question. And maybe that's the point. Sometimes you don't know you're stuck till someone hands you a mirror. A couple days after the barbecue, I ran into Jack at the Oak Hill Library, both of us flipping through books for this little book club idea we'd tossed around. I'm Lisa, 34, and I'd been feeling that restless buzz ever since he'd lit it up at the party. Hey, stranger, he said, holding up a beat-up copy of The Great Gatsby. Coffee after this? I grinned, nodding. And just like that, we were sitting in the corner booth at Brew and Bean on Main Street, steam curling up from our mugs. The place smelled like cinnamon and roasted beans, and outside, leaves swirled in the wind. We started chatting about the club, but it didn't take long for things to shift. So, what's your big dream, Lisa? Jack asked, leaning back with that easy smile of his. I stirred my coffee, thinking, I've always wanted to open a little photography studio. Nothing fancy, just a spot to shoot sunsets, families, you know? He nodded, eyes locked on mine. You should. You've got an eye for it. I saw those pics on your phone at the party. I blushed, brushing it off, but it felt good to be seen like that. Pretty soon, coffee turned into walks in the park. Oak Hill's got this gorgeous spot with trails and benches, and we'd wander there, leaves crunching under our sneakers. I'd ramble about how I used to chase sunsets with my camera, and he'd tell me about hiking trails out west. One afternoon, we sat on a bench, the air crisp and golden. Lisa, he said, turning to me, life's too short to just coast. You deserve to feel alive. My breath caught. It was like he'd punched through the fog I'd been living in. I mumbled something like, yeah, maybe. But inside, my heart was racing, excited, scared, all of it. Back home, I'd cook dinner. Pasta, usually, 'cause it's David's favorite, and try to act normal. David's 36, my husband, an IT guy who's sweet but always half distracted. He'd come in, kiss my cheek, and ask, You okay, babe? You seem quiet. I'd force a smile. Just tired, I'd say, stirring the sauce. But my head was somewhere else, replaying Jack's words. Those walks, the way he laughed. I wasn't tired. I was wired, buzzing with this feeling I couldn't name. The more I saw Jack, the deeper it got. We'd meet up a couple times a week, coffee here, a stroll there. He'd ask about my day, really listen, and I'd spill stuff I hadn't told anyone in years. Like how I missed feeling free, how I used to dream of road trips and big adventures. He'd nod, then say something like, You're still that girl, Lisa. She's in there. It was intoxicating, like a shot of adrenaline straight to the chest. One day, we were walking by the park's little pond, ducks gliding across the water. Jack stopped, picked up this bright red leaf, and handed it to me. For you, he said, grinning. Something to remember today by. I took it, my fingers brushing his, and my face went hot. Thanks, I muttered, tucking it into my jacket pocket. It was small, silly, but it felt huge, like a secret we were sharing right there in the open. Nights at home started feeling heavier. I'd chop veggies, set the table, and catch myself staring at the fridge magnets, souvenirs from trips David and I took years ago. He'd shuffle in, tie loose from work, and ask, "Everything good?" I'd nod, faking it. "Yeah, long day." But I wasn't fooling myself. I'd sit there, fork in hand, wondering why I felt so stuck with him. David's solid, loves me, works hard, never lets me down. But where'd the spark go? When did we stop talking about anything that mattered? It wasn't like I was hiding anything big. Yet. Jack and I were just friends, right? Friends who met up more than I'd admit out loud. Friends who made my pulse jump. I'd lie in bed, David snoring beside me, and think about that leaf in my pocket. I'd pull it out sometimes, twirl it in my fingers, and feel this mix of thrill and guilt. Was I crossing a line? I didn't know, but I couldn't stop. One evening I was tossing a salad when David came up behind me, wrapping his arms around my waist. "Missed you today," he said, voice soft. I smiled, leaning back into him, but my stomach twisted. "Missed you too," I said, and I meant it, but not all of me did. Part of me was still out there, walking with Jack, chasing that alive feeling. I hated that split. Hated how easy it was to keep going back. See, here's what I started figuring out. It's not about Jack. Not really. It's about me. I'd been sleepwalking through my days, cooking, smiling, keeping it together, and he woke me up. But that doesn't mean it's simple. I love David. He's my home. Jack's like a window cracking open, letting air in. Do I shut it or climb through? I don't know yet. All I know is every time I see Jack, I feel more like me. And every time I lie to David about it, I feel less. That night, I sat on the couch, David flipping channels beside me. "You sure you're okay?" he asked again, eyes flicking to mine. "Yeah," I said, squeezing his hand. "Just thinking." He nodded, trusting me like always. And that trust? It's what kept me up till 2 a.m., staring at the ceiling, wondering how long I could keep this up before it all came crashing down. I was a mess when David suggested a weekend at Blue Ridge Lake. It was his way of hitting reset. 36, my IT guy husband, always trying to fix things with a plan. I'm Lisa, 34, and I'd been juggling this secret buzz with Jack for weeks. Coffee, walks, that damn leaf still in my pocket. "Just us, babe," David said, eyes hopeful over breakfast. "Sounds perfect," I replied, faking a smile. But my stomach was in knots. Every step closer to that trip felt like a countdown to something breaking. The night before we left, I couldn't take it anymore. I sat on our bed, legs dangling off the edge, while David folded shirts into a duffel. "Hey, can we talk?" I said, voice shaky. He stopped, turning to me, concern creasing his face. "What's up?" I took a deep breath, hands twisting the blanket. "I've been feeling off, like disconnected. And I've been hanging out with Jack, a lot. It started as nothing, but I've got feelings for him." The words tumbled out, raw and messy. David's face went blank, then tight. "You're serious?" he asked, voice low. I nodded, tears stinging my eyes. "I didn't mean for it to happen. I felt lost. And he was there." He stepped back, running a hand through his hair. "You love him?" That hit like a punch. "I don't know," I choked out. "I love you, David. You're my husband. But I've been lonely." He stared at me, hurt flashing in his eyes, then walked out without a word. I sat there, crying into my hands, the silence louder than any fight. Next morning, we drove to Blue Ridge anyway. 2 hours of tense quiet, the hum of the car drowning out everything unsaid. The lake was gorgeous, water shimmering under a crisp sky. But it didn't touch the chill between us. I unpacked in the cabin, setting out snacks while David fiddled with the fireplace. "Nice view," I tried, nodding at the window. "Yeah," he muttered, not looking up. Every word felt like walking on glass. We spent the day like that. Me snapping pics of the trees, him fishing off the dock, barely crossing paths. I kept replaying last night. His hurt, my guilt. I'd messed up, big time. but I didn't know how to fix it. Late afternoon, I was on the porch, watching a hawk circle overhead, when my phone slipped from my hand and splashed into the lake. Crap! I yelped, lunging forward. David dropped his rod and waded in, jeans soaking as he fished it out. Here, he said, handing it over, dripping wet. Thanks, I mumbled, stunned he'd jumped in after everything. That broke something open. That night, stars popping out over the water, he joined me on the porch steps. Lisa, he started, voice softer than I'd expected. I don't get how we got here. I thought we were good. I swallowed hard. We were. But I lost myself somewhere. I'm so sorry, David. I never wanted to hurt you. He sighed, staring at the horizon. I've been checked out too. Work, always work. But this, it stings. I nodded, tears spilling again. I know. I hate that I did this. Jack, he made me feel seen, but it's not worth losing you. He looked at me, eyes searching. So what now? You're done with him. I took a shaky breath. I want us. I've been an idiot chasing some thrill. Can we try to fix this? He didn't answer right away, just rubbed his jaw, thinking. I don't know, he said finally. I want to, but I'm mad, Lisa, and I don't trust easy after this. His honesty stung, but it was fair. I get it, I said. I'll do whatever it takes. I just need you to tell me if there's a chance. He reached for my hand, squeezing it once. Maybe. I need time, but I don't want to lose us either. We sat there, the lake lapping at the shore, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope, like we weren't done yet. Driving back to Oak Hill, I kept stealing glances at him. He was quiet, but not cold. I thought about Jack, those walks, that alive feeling, and how it had led me here, cracking open my marriage. Was it worth it? No, but it woke me up. I'd been coasting, letting life happen, and David had too. Now we had to face it, together or not. Here's what hit me. Sometimes you don't see the mess till it's right in front of you. I could have kept quiet, let it fester, but that's not real. Telling David was terrifying, but it was true. And yeah, he's pissed, and I'm a wreck. But we're talking. Really talking. Maybe that's what matters, facing the hard stuff, not running from it. I don't know if we'll make it, but I'm damn sure I'm gonna fight for it. Back from Blue Ridge, I knew I had to cut Jack loose. I'm Lisa, 34, and I'd already spilled my guts to David, my husband, 36, about everything. Those coffee runs, the park walks, the mess I'd made. We were raw but trying, and I couldn't keep one foot out the door. So I texted Jack, asking to meet at Brew and Bean. I got there first, fidgeting with a napkin, the smell of coffee hitting me like a memory punch. He walked in, all easy smiles, 35 and clueless about what was coming. Hey, you, he said, sliding into the booth. I didn't waste time. Jack, I can't do this anymore, I said, voice steady but tight. I'm working things out with David. It's where I need to be. His grin faded, eyes narrowing. You sure? I thought we had something real. I nodded, swallowing hard. We did, but I've got to fix my marriage. I'm sorry. He leaned back, quiet for a sec, then shrugged. Your call, Lisa. Take care. He got up, left a tip on the table, and walked out. I sat there, staring at my mug, feeling lighter but hollow, like I'd closed a chapter I wasn't ready to let go of. David and I dove into the hard stuff after that. We started seeing a counselor in Oak Hill, this guy with a scruffy beard who made us talk about everything. Why I'd drifted, why he'd tuned out. I'd sit on that stiff couch, picking at my nails, saying, I just missed us, you know? The real us. David would nod, arms crossed, then admit, I got too comfy. Work took over. I didn't see you slipping away. It was messy. Tears, arguments. But it peeled back layers we'd ignored for years. We started small fixes at home, too. One night I cooked tacos, and he chopped peppers beside me, cracking jokes about my knife skills. You're gonna lose a finger, babe, he teased. And I laughed. Real, belly deep. Another time, we walked the park trails. No phones, just us and the crunch of leaves. "This feels good," I said, squeezing his hand. He squeezed back. "Yeah, it does." Little wins, stacking up like bricks in a wall we were rebuilding. Months in, I felt us shifting. One evening, sprawled on the couch, David turned to me, remote in hand. "You've changed, Lisa. You're stronger. I'm proud of you." My chest warmed. "Thanks. I'm grateful you stuck around." He smiled, soft and real. "I want us to keep growing, dig deeper, you know?" I nodded, leaning into him. "Me too. Let's find that joy again." It wasn't perfect. Some days I'd catch myself wondering about Jack, where he was, if he hated me. But I'd shake it off, refocus on David. We planned a trip to the coast, something to chase that old spark. Counseling kept us honest, pushing me to open up, him to listen. "What do you need from me?" he'd ask, and I'd say, "Just you. Here, present." He'd try and I'd try, and slowly, trust crept back. One night we were cleaning up after dinner, spaghetti, messy and fun. David grabbed my phone, scrolling for music, and hit play on Sweet Home Alabama. "Dance with me," he said, pulling me into the kitchen. I laughed, spinning under his arm, sauce still on my apron. "You're ridiculous," I giggled. "You love it," he shot back, dipping me low. It was goofy, perfect, and I thought, this is us. This is worth it. Here's what I learned. Love's not a fairy tale. It's work. I almost threw mine away chasing a thrill, but facing it head on? That's what saved us. David's not just my husband. He's my partner in this messy, beautiful life. And me? I'm not that lost girl anymore. I'm choosing this every day. But then, everything flipped. It was a random Tuesday months later. I was folding laundry, humming, when David walked in, face pale, holding a letter. "Lisa," he said, voice cracking. "I got accepted to that grad program in Seattle. Full ride. They want me to start next month." My heart stopped. Seattle. 2,000 miles from Oak Hill, from our life, from everything we'd fought for. "What?" I whispered, dropping a shirt. He sat down, eyes wide. "I applied last year, before all this. Forgot about it till now. What do we do?" I stared at him, the room spinning. Move? Uproot everything? Or stay, let him go alone? The future I'd just grabbed onto slipped through my fingers, and all I could hear was my own heartbeat, screaming, "Not again." This is an artistic and fictional creation intended for both entertainment and educational purposes. Any resemblance to actual people or events is purely coincidental. Some scenes and dialogues in the video are part of a dramatized performance and incorporate elements of grotesque, satire, and exaggeration. The creator stands against discrimination, violence, and hatred. This channel fully complies with YouTube's policies and does not infringe upon copyright laws.